Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 15 articles for you in this episode, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one I have here is off of video. Hampshire's running to get it up here for us. It says, Senator Feinstein's attempt to slam Sessions for enforcing the law backfires in a big way. Jeff Sessions intends to do something that hasn't been adequately done in 8 years. Immigration laws. And there is some video in this. Set up and watch that. And get the Hampshire to scroll it on up here for us a little bit. Liberal Democrats are up in arms. However, one might think sitting Democrat might possess a rudimentary understanding of what the rule of law means, since senators help make laws, but apparently California's Dianne Feinstein still hasn't gotten the memo. It says the Justice Department should not shift its limited resources to criminalizing immigrants. Undocumented immigrants aren't criminals. If you have a problem with the law as it is, perhaps you should get another one passed. Until then, enforcing the law is actually on the books. And got another tweet. She says the Justice Department, make no mistake about public safety. It's about pushing false narrative and immigrants are criminals. False narrative, Dianne. Tweet here directed back at her. It says Dianne breaking immigration laws and using fake social against the law. Isn't that a crime? Because there's a bunch more tweets here to her. Let's see. One says, so breaking American law by entering the country illegally doesn't make you a criminal. What does? If you want to read the rest of those, you can pull that article up and take a look there at those. The next one we have here is off of theguardian.com. Spies were first to spot Trump team's links with Russia. Britain's spy agencies played a crucial role in alerting their counterparts in Washington between the members of Donald Trump's campaign team and Russian intelligence operations, the has been told. GCHQ first became aware in late 2015 of suspicious interactions between figures connected and known or suspected Russian agents, to UK intelligence said. Was passed to us as part of a routine exchange of information, they added. Next 6 months, until the summer of 2016, a number of Western agencies shared further information on contacts between Trump's inner circle, sources said. The European countries that passed on electronic intelligence, known as, included Germany, Estonia, and Poland, Australia, and Five Eyes spying alliance that also includes the US, UK, Canada, and New Zealand, also relayed material, one source said. Another source suggested, and the French spy agency, the General Directorate Security, or DGSE, it is understood that the GCHQ was at no point carrying out a targeted operation against Trump or proactively seeking information. The alleged picked up by chance as part of a routine surveillance of Russian intelligence assets. Direct agents or different agencies, same people began to see a pattern of connections that were flagged to intelligence officials in the US. of GCHQ's role in the FBI ongoing investigation into possible cooperation between the Trump campaign and Moscow is highly sensitive. Trump tweeted that Barack Obama had tapped him in Trump Tower. Press Secretary Sean Spicer claimed the British spying agency GCHQ had carried out the bugging. Spicer cited a substantiated report on Fox News. Fox later distanced the report. The claims prompted an extremely unusual rebuke from GCHQ from commenting on matters. The allegation first made judge turned media commentator Andrew Napolitano as nonsense, ridiculous, and should be ignored, a spokesperson told GCHQ. Both the US and the UK intelligence sources acknowledged that GCHQ played a role in kickstarting the FBI's Trump-Russian investigation, which began in 2016. One source called the British eavesdropping agency the principal whistleblower. It's been told the FBI and the CIA to appreciate the extensive nature of contacts between Trump's team and Moscow ahead of the U.S. election. It was in part U.S. law that prohibits U.S. agencies from examining the private of American citizens without warrants. They are trained, the source stressed. U.S. agencies were asleep, the source added. There are contacts going on between people close to Trump and people we believe are Russian intelligence agents. You should be wary of this. Watch out, there's something not right here. Account GCHQ's then head, Robert Hannigan, passed material in the summer of 2016 to the CIA chief. The matter was deemed so sensitive, it was handled at a director level. Initially, slow start, Brennan used GCHQ's information and intelligence from other partners to launch a major investigation. In late August and September, Brennan gave a series of classified briefings to the Gang of Eight, Democratic and Republican leaders in the House. He told them the agency had evidence the Kremlin helped Trump to win the presidency, the New York Times reported. Familiar with the matter, said Brennan did not reveal the sources, but made reference to the fact that American intelligence allies had provided information. They learned of GCHQ's role, the person said. The person described the U.S. intelligence as being very late to the game. The FBI director James Comey altered his position after the election and Trump's victory, becoming more affirmative and with higher level of concern. Shift a mid-October decision by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act approved a secret surveillance order, gave permission of justice to investigate two banks suspected of being part of the Kremlin's undercover influence operation. The BBC, the Justice Department's request came after a tip-off agency in one of the Baltic states. This is believed to be Estonia. Wednesday that the same order covered Carter Page, one of Trump's associates. It allowed the FBI and the Justice Department to monitor Page's communications. Page, a former foreign policy aide, was suspected of being an agent of influence working for Russia, the paper said, citing U.S. officials. Covered contacts Page allegedly had in 2013 with a Russian foreign intelligence agent and other undisclosed meetings with Russian operatives, the Post said. Wrongdoing and unjustified politically motivated government surveillance. Last year, Comey threw a little bit. Late last year, Comey threw more FBI resources into what became a far-reaching counterintelligence investigation. In March, he confirmed before the House Intelligence Committee that was examining possible operations between Moscow and members of the Trump campaign to sway the U.S. election. The NSA director, Admiral Michael Rogers, said there was no basis for the president's claim that he was a victim of Obama's wiretapping, likened the unapproved allegation to McCarthyism. 16 spy agency played a part in the intelligence sharing with the U.S., one source said, declined to comment. Sir Richard Dearlove described Trump's Thursday as simply deeply embarrassing for Trump and the administration. The only possible explanation is that Trump started tweeting without understanding NSA GCHQ relationship actually works, Dearlove told Gibson. A GCHQ spokesperson said it policy that we do not comment on intelligence matters, which individuals were picked up by British surveillance. Last month, the New York Times, citing 3 U.S. intelligence officials, said warning signs had been summer but were far from clear. Emails stolen from the Democratic National Committee began picking up conversations in which Russians were discussing contacts with Trump. The paper said the European allies were supplying information about people close to Trump meeting with Russia in Britain, the Netherlands, and in other countries. There are now multiple investigations going on in Washington, paying officials, and Russia. The FBI led counter-espionage investigation and probes by both the House and the Senate committees. The senior Democrat on the House committee has expressed an interest in hearing from Christopher Steele, the former M16, whose dossier accuses the president of long-term cooperation with Vladimir Putin. Trump and Putin have both dossier as fake. The official investigation was making progress, concrete and cooperative collusion, the source said, between people in the Trump campaign and Russian influence related to the use of material. The next article I have for you is off of Liberty Writers. And the hamster's running as fast as he can go here. Come on, fella. Now let's give him a goose. See if that'll help. Last night, Trump called China's president and made the ultimate deal with him. Scroll up some. Oops. We had it, and then we lost it. Get it back up here. Trump said on Wednesday that he had a call with Chinese leader Xi Jinping dealing with the menace of North Korea. Media then reported that Xi wants the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and is willing to maintain communication and coordination with the American side over the issue on the peninsula. Trump said this on Fox Business interview on Wednesday, and they've got a where he says, I think China can help us. I hope China can help us, the president said. And it seems that they are. China has recalled their trading ships, and it seems like North Korea said that it would defend itself against reckless acts of aggression after the Trump administration sent ships to the Korean Peninsula this weekend, according to the Daily Mail. This is what Trump said further about his deal that he made with China. Saying, I explained to President of China that a trade deal with the U.S. will be far better for them if they solve the problem. North Korea is looking for trouble. To help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them. Made an amazing deal with China. Nobody has been able to get done in forever. Show this. The next article I have for you is off of RT. Hamster in the wheel goes round and round. Get to catch up here. Legs are winding as fast as they'll go. WikiLeaks hostile intel, Assange and his followers, demons, ballistic. Dr. Mike Julian Assange and his associates demons and accused WikiLeaks of siding with the world's dictators and endangering the security of the free world with the help of, speaking at an event organized by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, or the C in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. The former Kansas congressman went on the warpath against the whistleblower website, accusing the editor Julian Assange of being on the wrong side of history to harm America democracy. And there is video in this if you care to pull that up and make sure to scroll her up a little bit for us here. I thought we would. It says Russian propaganda outlet RT activity collaborated with WikiLeaks, Pompeo added, repeating the unsubstantiated allegation by Hillary Clinton's campaign from October of 2016, when RT reported on the daily disclosures of emails from Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta. Nothing about America and our ideals, Pompeo declared, adding that in the 1930s he would have been on the wrong side of history. His ilk make common cause with dictators today. Their currency is clickbait. Purpose non-existent, Pompeo added. Of being a narcissist, a coward hiding behind a screen. Rejected Assange's reasoning that WikiLeaks had the right to publish documents that WikiLeaks obtained, arguing that the right to free speech does not apply to non-Americans. Assange has no First Amendment freedoms, Pompeo added. He's sitting in London, a citizen. And there's some tweets. These are not, whoops. Work with me. These are not, well, come on. Doing good work and try to keep America government honest, but people agents to steal American secrets with the destroying the American way of life, he added. No one has the right to actively engage in the theft of secrets from America with the intent to do harm to it. This is a marked departure from President Donald Trump's position on WikiLeaks during the campaign, and even Pompeo's own tweets while he was member of the House of Representatives from Kansas, observant journalists pointed out. There's a tweet here that has a statement that Mike Pompeo put out on July the 24th of 2016, where it says Maine Senator Angus King enduringly said that Pompeo had sent out a Twitter citing DNC emails released by WikiLeaks as proof that Hillary Clinton's nomination was fixed. Pompeo said he couldn't remember the tweet, insisting, "I have never believed that WikiLeaks was a credible source of information." The tweet, for the record, is below, where it says proof that the fix from President Obama on down. 18,252 emails from DNC leaked by WikiLeaks. I put this out, says Mike Pompeo was sharing WikiLeaks documents on his congressional Twitter account less than a year ago. It says Pompeo confirmed that the agency that colluded with the Syrian government for the chemical weapons attack in Khan Sheikhoun, I guess it is, which to fire 59 cruise missiles at Syrian air base last week. "We're good," he said, "and we got it right." He dismissed the statements from the Russian government, questioning the U.S. narrative about the attack, saying on their sixth or seventh story, none of which truth to them. Whom veracity does not translate into English, Pompeo said of Russian President Vladimir Putin. "We have to preserve the American democracy from disinformation and propaganda that poses a real risk to our values," Pompeo said, alleged Russian active measures. Thursday, Trump tweeted that things will work out fine between the U.S. and Russia. "Time everyone will come to their senses and there will be a lasting peace," he wrote. Pompeo to take over the CIA within a week of winning the 2016, and the Senate confirmed him with a 66 to 32 days after the inauguration. Pompeo previously represented the Kansas 4th District in the House of Representatives for 6 years. Republicans held on to his vacated seat in action on Tuesday. The next article is off BizPac Review. And Hampshire is just a sailing. Guy, I'm running him to death. But he's just about got it. Says, "Can you believe this BS? Hillary, when she's quick to take credit for Hampshire to get it up here where I can read it. Either Hillary Clinton has a selective memory or she's hoping Americans do. The former Democratic presidential nominee gave herself a pat on the back for being part of the so-called free college tuition effort. Credit Senator Bernie Sanders. A tweet by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo about free college tuition in his state, saying college is not a luxury, it's a necessity. That's why I'm proud to have signed tuition-free college for middle-class families into law. Cuomo put that out. And it says, we set out to do this nationally, but thrilled getting it done. Let's hope this is the first of many. Text 81336, Hillary Clinton put out. What did she mean by we? Out here, Hillary Clinton, you did not make this happen. Quit taking credit for others' work. Go away again. There's a bunch more tweets about it. It says, riding the coattails of others seems to be effortless to the former Secretary of State, but she won this time. And a bunch more tweets. Can you believe the BS from this woman claiming this? Her delusions are utterly astonishing. I disagree with free college for everybody, Clinton said, or in the not so distant past. Tweets and some video of her. Says tweet here says, Hillary Clinton, I remember when you and your surrogates referred to this kind of policy as fairy dust and unicorns. If Clinton had memory issues on the topic, Twitter users were happy to set her straight. One says, didn't you call this a pie in the sky idea during the primaries? A bunch more tweets. I'll read those. You can pull that article up. The next one is off of BizPack Review. And let the hamster catch up again. And here it comes. Little by little, here we go. New book claims insider info of Hillary and Bill's hysterics behind the defeat. Some doozies. Scroll it up a little bit more here. Hillary Clinton made no secret of the fact they blamed the campaign staffers for her defeat in the presidential election, according to about her failed bid. Get it to scroll up a little bit more. She was visibly, unflinchably peed off at us as a group, Staffer said in the book, according to an excerpt obtained by The Hill. And she let us know how she felt. Or try this again. And she let us know she felt that way. The book reveals the former Secretary of State was full of excuses for why she against Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders in the primary and President Donald Trump in the general election. And Amy Parnes, co-author of the book, titled Shattered Clinton's Doomed Campaign. Reportedly furious after a dismal showing at the primaries, Clinton manufactured multiple reasons. She blamed her former campaign director, Robbie Mook, for not selecting the right travel stops, spending heavily in the wrong areas. The book also claims Clinton blamed top staffers for poor polling, true performance. She blamed Mook for the campaign's focus on minority communities instead of the white base against former President Barack Obama in 2008. Neither Clinton, the simple fact that Hillary had hamstrung her own campaign and dealt with the most serious blow to her own presidential aspirations, the authors wrote. The underlying truth, the one that many didn't want to admit to themselves, was the person ultimately responsible for these decisions, the one who the ticket hadn't corrected these problems, all of which had been brought to her attention before the primary day. She'd stuck with the plan and it cost her. It's concluded. Clinton continued to blame FBI Director James Comey's decision to reopen the investigation into Clinton election, as well as Russia for hacking into the campaign's email server. Is off of BizPack Review. And I see the hamster running. Here's why Trump says NATO is no longer obsolete. President Donald Trump once criticized North Atlantic Treaty Organization for being obsolete, but the president said that was no longer the case after meeting with the organization's leader on Wednesday. Carol and I had a productive discussion about what more NATO can do in the fight against terrorism. That a long time ago, and they made a change. And now we fight terrorism. during a joint NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, obsolete. It's no longer obsolete. That he hopes NATO increasing role Islamic State. He added he will send his national security advisor, Army General H.R. McMaster, to Afghanistan to determine what can be done to make progress alongside our Afghan partners and NATO allies. Trump's comments represent a major shift in his rhetoric toward NATO, but he reaffirmed his concern spending. NATO members are supposed to spend 2% of their gross domestic product on defense, but only 5 of the alliance's 28 member countries are expected to meet the goal in their budgets for the fiscal year of 2016. Trump's concerns regarding Stoltenberg shared Trump's concern regarding member spending, that it has been the primary issue brought up in his meetings with NATO leaders. And there's some video in that if you want to pull that up to see that for yourself. The article is also off of BizPack Review. Picture's going as fast as his little legs will carry him. Says, with all the issues, Sessions admits he was surprised at public backlash to his marijuana rhetoric. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions expressed shock backlash to his fiery rhetoric on federal marijuana policy and his opposition to legalization. A range of issues at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona Tuesday, Sessions addressed the opposition to further easement laws in states across the country. He also expressed confusion, mentioned his comments on marijuana during his confirmation hearing received Arizona Central. A staunch opponent of legalization is currently reviewing the Cole Memorandum, established in 2013 by OJ to focus marijuana enforcement on violent crimes and distribution in states without legalization laws. When they nominated me for Attorney General, you would have thought the biggest issue in America, said, I don't think America is going to be a better place if they sell marijuana at every corner grocery store, Sessions said Tuesday, according to AZ Central. People, I'm surprised they didn't like that. On the illegal immigration and border protection Tuesday, reiterating his brief that a wall enforcement will greatly cut down on the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. Sessions claimed in February that there's more violence around marijuana that one would think money involved. It is unclear how aggressive the administration will ultimately be on the issue, but officials in the state with legalization laws are preparing for the worst. Of Alaska, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington to legalize recreational marijuana sent a letter to Sessions and Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin April the 3rd, imploring them to leave marijuana policy to the states. They previously opposed legal weed, but argue the policy is boosting revenues and helping reduce the inequitable incarceration of minority groups. Sessions and the Trump administration could cost the marijuana industry hundreds of thousands of jobs if they interfere with state pot laws. In February, by New Frontier Data Projects, impeded marijuana market will create more than 250,000 jobs by 2020. The booming projections stand in stark contrast to manufacturing jobs, cater by more than 800,000 by 2024. Next article, the caller. Pelosi calls on Trump to fire over the Holocaust gaffe. Leader Nancy Pelosi is calling on President Trump to fire White House Sean Spicer for his commitments on Tuesday about Hitler's use of chemical weapons during the Holocaust. Sean Spicer must be fired. Must immediately disavow his spokesman's statements. Either he is speaking for the president or the president should have known better than to hire him, Pelosi said in a statement. While Jewish families across America celebrate Passover, the chief spokesman of the White House is downplaying the horror of the Holocaust. At a press briefing on Tuesday, Spicer attempted to make the case that the Russian government should reconsider its alliance with Syria because of dictator Bashar al-Assad's recent use of sarin gas. Spicer said that the use of nerve agent earlier this month went even beyond Hitler's actions during the Holocaust. Didn't use chemical weapons in World War II, Spicer said. You had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So if you're Russia, ask yourself, is this the country you want with? Spicer attempted to clarify his remarks later in the briefing, saying that he meant to say that Assad had used chemical weapons in a different manner than did Hitler. Forces dropped chemical weapons attached to bombs. Hitler, the nerve agents Xylon B against Jews in death camps during World War II, using the gas on his own people the same way Assad used them, in the way that Assad used them where he went into a town and dropped them down on innocent civilians. I appreciate the clarification, not the intent, he said. Despite his attempt to set the record straight, social media erupted in outrage. That prompted Spicer to release a third statement. In no way was I trying to lessen the horrendous nature of the Holocaust. I was trying to draw a distinction of using an airplane to drop chemical weapons on a population center. Any attacks on innocent people is reprehensible and inexcusable, Spicer told a White House pool reporter. Pelosi to say that she wants somebody removed because of something they said is the pot calling the kettle black. Lord have mercy, if there's ever a person who needed to be removed from office for what they've said, it would be her. She needs to shut up. The next one is off of Liberty Headlines. It says UN peacekeepers caught running massive child sex ring. Originally from the Free Thought Project, it says in a blow to victims of human trafficking worldwide, a massive child sex ring was exposed in Haiti involving international peacekeepers with the United Nations as well as other high-level officials from around the world, and no one is going to jail. Peacekeepers and their high-level commanders and other personnel from around the globe came to Haiti for sex with boys and girls under or as young as 12. Have breasts, said a girl known as V01 or victim number 1, a report out of the Associated Press. After Haiti's downfall from a tropical paradise resort destination, hundreds of children were left homeless and many of them without parents. This easy prey then attracted vile predators. Children have come forward in the last decade with these claims, and only a tiny is accused of any form of accountability. These sickos aren't charged is because keeping its peacekeepers in check the buck. So as reports of sexual abuse and child exploitation pour in to the UN, 2000 past 12 years, the troops sending troops either remain ignorant or deliberately refuse to hold these people accountable. As the Free Thought Project reported earlier this year, UN spokesman Stephanie Jarrick explained how they pass the buck in situations like this. So obviously we'll keep an eye on this, but As we've said, it is the responsibility of member states to fully investigate and hopefully prosecute crimes. The fight against impunity, this actions, has to be a partnership between the UN and member states, Dujarric said. Article that I have for you is off of Liberty Headlines, and it says Trump flips on 5 core campaign promises. Trump's blistering seamless transformation into the mainstream politician. In just a few hours, President Trump flipped two new positions on several core policy issues, backing off on no less than 5 repeated campaign promises. In conference either shifted or completely reversed positions on a number of foreign and economic policy decisions, including the fate of the U.S. dollar and the future of the chair of the Federal Reserve. In an announcement that rocked currency markets, Trump told WSJ that the U.S. dollar is strong and he would prefer the Federal Reserve low. I do like a low interest rate policy. Mr. Trump said, I think our dollar is getting too strong. That's my fault because people have confidence in me, but that's hurting. That will hurt ultimately, he added. Look, there's some very good things about a strong dollar, but usually speaking, the best thing about it is that it sounds good. Trump said NATO is no longer obsolete. During a Wednesday press conference with NATO Secretary General Berg, backtracking on his past alliance, during the campaign, he frequently called the organization obsolete, saying it did little to crack down on terrorism. Other members don't pay their fair share. I said it was obsolete. It's no longer obsolete, the president said Wednesday. Become more supportive of NATO after it ramped up efforts to increase U.S. and European intelligence sharing regarding terrorism. Trump still insisted that NATO allies meet their financial obligations and pay what they owe. He discussed with Stoltenberg his desire that the allies put 2% of their gross domestic product into defense by 2024. Trump's first most prominent reversal, the launch of airstrikes on Syria last Friday, after repeatedly bashing Obama for even considering that, and Trump's transformation into the mainstream politician now appears complete. This article is off of Liberty Headlines, and it says, House Freedom Caucus chairman says Republicans care agreement. Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows said Republicans are growing closer to consensus on repealing and replacing Obamacare and are presenting a plan to House Speaker Tuesday. Meadows told USA Today he planned that kept language requiring insurance to cover pre-existing conditions. What I'm getting to him is based on conversations that I've had. Tuesday group co-chairman Tom MacArthur, but I wouldn't say that it's approved at this point, he told the paper. Do is work through issues that are important to us all, that pre-existing conditions are taken care of. Made numerous trips to Capitol Hill in an attempt to bring conservatives and moderates together, but House leadership remained short on votes for Easter recess on Thursday. The initial legislation was scrapped due to a lack of consensus between the different factions of conservatives have been pushing for the removal of a number of Title I regulations and the community rating system, which they say is increasing. White House officials have floated the possibility of allowing states to waiver some of the Obama-era regulations in an attempt to sides, but the proposal has received pushback from moderates. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy said before recess it was possible the lower chamber session to vote on the bill if they strike a deal. We're very close, Meadows told radio station. The biggest thing for all of us is that we want to make sure we don't just have a repeal, but we have a replacement that drives down insurance premiums. Off of Breitbart says Trump administration releases drain the swamp guidance to restructure the federal government. 2 months of a federal government hiring freeze, Trump administration officials have released guidance on president's plan to drain the swamp, with what official management or the OMB director Mick described as the first ever rebuilding of the federal government. An April 12th memorandum provides guidance to federal agencies tasked with complying for organization executive order titled Comprehensive Plan for Reorganizing the Executive Branch. January 23, 2017 hiring freeze is lifted. Agents are to take immediate action to achieve near-term workforce reductions and cost savings, including planning for funding levels, fiscal year blueprint to maximize employee performance by June the 30th of 2017 and submit an agency reform plan to OMB in September of 2017 as part of the agency's 2019 budget submission to OMB that includes long-term workforce reductions. High-level draft of the agency reform plan is due to OMB by June the 30th of 2017. The memorandum outlines the steps that OMB will take to formulate a comprehensive government-wide reform plan in the president's fiscal year 2019 budget. This plan will rely on 3 primary sources of input: agency reform plans, and public input. The reform efforts are purported to, among other things, create a accountable, more efficient government that works for the people. The government hiring freeze that President Trump instituted on January the 23rd of 2017 ends with release of the new guidance memo, said on Tuesday. This does not mean that the agencies will be free to hire willy-nilly, he added. Stated that the guidance simply replaces the across-the-board hiring freeze with more. As the Trump administration fiscal year 2018 budget blueprint shows, some agencies were appropriated more federal funds, fewer, so some will correspondingly be granted an increase in hiring allowance, while others will end up paring their FTEs than they would have in freeze. Mulvaney called the government's reorganization one of the biggest stories nobody's talking about. He defined the plan as doing something that goes much deeper into the very structure of government, trying to do something that has never been done before. The executive branch of government has never been rebuilt. It has grown organically over the course of the last 240 years, and the President of the United States in the executive branch to start from scratch. Blank piece of paper. And say if you were going to rebuild the executive branch, what would it look like? It's been solicited from both within and outside the federal government, Mulvaney said. Added that CEOs gathered at the White House on Tuesday have also offered input on how the government should be restructured. The memo instructs all agencies to consult with OMB to identify and begin taking actions to develop a plan to maximize employee performance. Agency reform plan. Agencies are required to provide preliminary plan by June the 30th of 2017. They will meet with chief financial officers, agencies, and a limited number of others to discuss items for the purpose of gathering feedback and incorporating that feedback into draft plans, according to the memorandum. Those plans are due in September of 2017. Implementation of some agreed upon reforms may begin following the July meetings while continue to be assessed. Mulvaney conceded that some reform will require the legislative authority. I think we could run the government more efficiently than the previous administration. I think we can run the government with fewer people than the previous administration, said Mulvaney. Continued, what kicks in tomorrow is what we call the smart hiring plan. He said, as soon as the guidance goes out, the administration expects that agencies will review what they interpret to be president's priorities, budget blueprint, and fashion hiring or paring down of the respective agencies' workforces. Asked where expansion and cuts were expected in hiring, Mulvaney directed eyes to look to the president's budget blueprint. Good government, okay? It's not about big government. It's about small government. It's about good government, is what I think the president talks about when he talks about draining the swamp, said Mulvaney. If you're on the left, the right, the middle, they don't know where they are philosophically. Washington doesn't function well. Mulvaney stated, businessman in chief has essentially come to say is, make sure this government functions properly. That more efficient, more accountable, more effective, and providing the services that we need. That his guidance lays out, talked about when he referred to draining the swamp in Washington, D.C. The next article I have for you is off of Breitbart. Gabby Giffords. Suicide at elementary school proves California gun control is insufficient. Gun control proponent Gabby Giffords responded to the April 10th alleged murder-suicide at North Park Elementary in California by lamenting gun control and wishing more could be passed. State with universal background checks, gun registration laws, and an assault weapons ban. Waiting period on gun purchases, gun confiscation laws based on mental health records, gun violence restraining orders, a ban on high-capacity magazines, a good cause requirement for issuance of concealed carry permits, and other gun controls. From proving one more gun control is needed, the heinous murder-suicide that also cost an 8-year-old child's is actually more proof that gun control empowers evil people while putting law-abiding citizens at a marked disadvantage. The news quoted Giffords framing the murder-suicide as a mass shooting and also quoted her saying, "We can no longer call events like this unimaginable because they happen with alarming frequency. Americans have the courage to truly fight this crisis by standing up and demanding the government again, demanding the smart gun laws we know save lives." Smart gun laws. Would they include a ban on semi-automatic handguns? Well, that would not have helped because the North Park Elementary School shooter allegedly used a revolver. News tried to flesh out smart gun laws by reminding readers that Giffords supported expanding background checks to include the terror watch list after the December 2nd of 2015 San Bernardino attack. But the San Bernardino terrorists were not on the terror watch list. Trapped in a paradigm of our own making. No matter what the question, gun control is the answer. No matter what the problem, gun control is the solution. No matter how many gun controls exist, more gun control is needed. Law-abiding citizens are losing their ability to acquire guns they need to defend themselves from people who ignore the laws. Article and final one for the day is off BizPac Review. It says, should I be embarrassed? George W. Bush's daughter just let slip a family secret about grandma. This news has to rank right up there with the head turning, what the what? In her role as Today Show host, former first daughter Jenna Bush Hager blurted out a family secret about her grandma, First Lady Barbara Bush, that had everyone sitting up and taking notice. Jenna, now an NBC TV personality, was on Today with co-host Kathy Lee Gifford when they were discussing hygiene study about not wearing shoes in the home. That's when the topic of the Bush family came up. Apparently, Jenna couldn't resist letting loose with a bit of inside Bush family scuttlebutt that no one ever heard before. During the April 11th segment, talking about health benefits of going barefoot, when Jenna noted that her grandmother was on each foot. My grandma's missing a toe on each foot, Jenna blurted out to her shocked co-host. Jenna went on to note that First Lady to George H.W. Bush, also known as 41, lost her toes as she aged. She laughed at the revelation. Jenna must have realized what she'd done, because she admitted she felt terrible about blurting that secret. She says, "Should I be embarrassed?" It's really not embarrassing or a big deal at all, that is, unless Grandma Bush thinks otherwise. Video, you can take a look at the fun segment that they had if you care to get your laugh for the day. And that's all I have for you today. If you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Social media, so everybody gets to be entertained. Don't forget to subscribe, and that way you'll stay informed. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.